Welcome to the Money, Mindset and Business podcast, where we talk about all things money, mindset and business with real life stories and real life people. Let's get into the episode. Hi and welcome to Money, Mindset and Business podcast. Today we are speaking to Sneha, who I found her on social media. She was doing a stories challenge actually when I initially came across her. So I'm really looking forward to chatting to you today. So Sneha, tell me about yourself. What is it that you do?
Hi, Leah. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm really, really excited to do this. It's been a little time in the making, hasn't it? Trying to get us to get together to get this sorted out because we're busy. But yeah, so my name's Sneha, as Leah said. So I'm a transformational mindset and marketing coach. So predominantly what I do is I use a form of RTT, which is a rapid transformational hypnotherapy. So you may or may not have heard of Marissa Peer, who's absolutely amazing. And I went through her training course. And the idea was for me to be able to use it with my business clients. I predominantly work with coaches, therapists, and entrepreneurs, consultants that are looking to start their business online, to be able to have a strategic approach to it, something that's more sustainable, have income that is recurring for them so they can rely on it. I've been doing sort of marketing for a very long time. And when I was working with different types of clients, I found that although I would get them leads because I used to do Facebook advertising, they wouldn't have a clue what to do with them. So they didn't have the back end process. They didn't have the nurture system. They didn't have the email. They didn't have any of that set up. So I ended up giving them more strategy around doing that. And I found that I actually loved it more than I loved actually doing the Facebook advertising and social media and that kind of stuff. So I kind of geared more towards that, started to put more things in place for that. I went back and did my master's in international marketing and absolutely loved that and strategy. So so then I started working for a coach online that's based in America, which was absolutely amazing for me and my experience. And then started to have my own business using everything that I've learned over the few years that I've been doing it to help businesses really predominantly be more visible online, using the mindset to be able to do that, using all my marketing tools to be able to help them do that really. So that's kind of me in a little bit of a nutshell.
Awesome. It sounds amazing. I mean, it's a hell of a journey, isn't it? Entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So
changing.
Yeah, it always changes.
Yeah.
So if you look at where you are now and you think back to where you were at, say, at the start of your entrepreneurial journey, can you give us paint us a picture of what life was like for you? What did it look like? What did it feel like? What sorts of emotions were going on around you at that time when you decided to be an entrepreneur?
Absolutely. Yeah, and it literally does come all down to the mindset and specifically money mindset. I was actually a teacher at the time. I have 3 children. I'm a single mother. When I had my third child, I just felt like there is more to life than doing this, because as a teacher, those of you that out there have done sort of teaching may really understand of the fact that you're capped and trapped in that situation. Because number one, you can't do any overtime, but you're expected to do overtime, but you don't get paid for it. You're trapped because you're trapped in a particular budget. So your hours can't be extended, etc. So, and then you're trapped because of the time that you need to put into this, because obviously you get holidays, which everybody seems to be really jealous of. But the problem is you can't take any time outside of that. So, when my kids were going for having their PE, their sports day, or, their music lessons or their concerts, or, even sometimes parents needed, I couldn't attend them at that point because I was teaching, and any other job you could put time in to be able to get that time off, but I couldn't do that. So for me, I just felt like I wanted to earn more. I wanted to have no cap on my earnings. I wanted to find a better way of doing it, have more freedom to spend more time with my children, etc., in the way that I wanted to, in the time that I wanted to. And that was the part that led me to think, okay, there's different ways of doing this. And I had various different approaches to it. And coming from a background where it's more cultural environment, where things for me were all passed down from generation to generation as to how you look at your money. And the main teachings were the fact that you live within your budget. That's it. There's no way around it. Whatever you have is the point that you live at. There's no way of expanding that or getting more income or looking at the view of, hey, I want to reach that. I want to move to here. I want, a bigger house. I want this. I want that. No, this is your budget and this is what you stick with. You can't move around that. Again, so trapped mindset. And for me, it was like always came back to the way that my mum used to run her budget, her shopping list, what we were allowed to do at school, be able to go on trips. We couldn't go on trips. We couldn't do that type of thing. I mean, then it was a different age anyway, in terms of, the father would go to work, the mother would stay home and, be the housewife, be the mother. And that's what my mum predominantly was. And that's how I grew up, thinking that that's kind of been made to think that that's the way that it should be for me, but I was a bit of a black sheep. So that definitely wasn't the vibe that I was putting out. I was like, no, I'm not going to be chained to the sink. I'm not marrying an Indian man because I'm not putting myself in all of those things. So, and at the time for me, £10, £100, this is where I kind of check myself, is £10 or £100 at that point would be a lot of money. And then I worked on achieving more, feeling that there is more out there for me, working on my abundance mindset by listening to podcasts, reading different things and deciding I wanted more in my life. So I tried various methods like, MLM. I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah. Multi-level marketing. Those who don't know what it is.
Yes. I started with that, and I started with a company called Juice Plus. I absolutely loved the concept of it and how it worked and how it opened my mind to the fact that Facebook is not just a place where you post pictures and lovely images and connect with your family. There was a back end to it that I had no idea about. And that's when things kind of clicked to me. It's like, there is an opportunity here. This could be huge. So I started down that road, but I didn't like the fact that everything had to be, on social. You had to be on there 24/7. That part of it didn't really work for me or resonate with me, but I love the marketing side of it and the connecting with other people that were looking to run their own business and things like that. So it started to grow there for me because I realized people need social media if they're going to run businesses like this. They also needed Facebook ads. So I used to start working with local businesses to kind of grow that side of my business in terms of the marketing. And I took myself off and I learned how to run and how to set up landing pages. I started with ClickFunnels. I loved the whole process of it, that it was so easy to set up a website yourself and do all those things. So I taught myself all of that stuff to be able to move forward and move my mindset forward. And slowly the check for me was, now how do I feel about £100? Is that something that I can give away and I can invest? Or is that something that's still a lot of money for me? Do I need to hold it in and hold all that money in and not spend it? For years in my own business, I didn't. I held on to that money because I thought, I can't let it go. I have to do it myself. But then about 3 years later, it did occur to me that if I don't expand and take people on to help me with my business, I'm just not going to grow. As a single person doing it, it just doesn't work. And that's when my mindset opened up to £100. It's not a lot of money. Maybe now 3,000, 4,000 turns out to be a bit more money. But at that point, I couldn't see past the £100. Then I started to grow and have the abundance and feeling and taking off the pressure off my head of actually getting to the point where, £1,000 isn't a lot of money when you're investing in your business to grow. Because I would rather do that and do it within a couple of months than spend years to get to the same point. And I realized that, although it took me a long time in my mindset to be able to work that out right. So that's kind of where I kind of came from. And listening to podcasts and talking to other people and doing some networking allowed me to slowly grow my mindset. And to be honest, I'm doing that daily. I can't do
never-ending thing, isn't it? The mindset.
Never-ending, especially the background and the culture that you come from. So, my brother is still kind of in that mindset. He's still in his box. And my mom is actually a bit more entrepreneurial. So I think that's kind of where I got it from. But she wasn't given the kind of the platform, the place, the support to be able to come out of that zone by my father. He always kind of held her back and kind of made her realize where her place was. And I was like, nobody's going to tell me where my place is. I need to find this out for myself and make those decisions for myself. So working every day on my mindset by reading, listening to podcasts, and and connecting with wonderful people like yourself that can move you forward. And you don't know until you try how that's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's funny that you should say about starting in teaching, because my younger sister's a teacher. She's been a teacher for a very long time, so I know firsthand how much time she has to spend.
Yeah.
And yes, her working hours are 9 till 3:30.
Yeah.
But she leaves the house at 6:30.
Yeah.
And some days she's not home till 7.
Mm.
And it's this time of year, it's report writing time. Yeah. So weekends I spent writing reports, because at the moment she's a year 6 teacher. Mm-hmm. So she's just gone through the whole stress of SATs.
Yeah.
And she's had to do everything, it's not just a 9 till 3:30, couple of weeks a year job. It's probably harder work than I've ever done.
Yeah.
In a full-time job.
Yeah.
At exactly. 8 till 5, Monday to Friday. She works a hell of a lot harder than I.
And I think at least in the full-time job that you would have had, you could have put in for overtime or, get those hours back somehow. You can't with this. That's just the expectation. And this is a whole other thing, but that's one of the reasons why they're striking. Everything's going up. They're not going up. They don't have access to overtime. They don't have access to get any kind of increased wage. They're so reliant on what they get set up for that year, and that's it, and what the school budget allows.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a governor now for my son's school, so I see like the other side of things, rather than looking from a parent into the school.
Yeah.
From inside out.
Yes.
And it's a totally different ball game to what you actually know from an outsider.
Yeah.
So talking about your journey from being a teacher and going, right, there's more to life than this. Yeah. What would you say were the biggest kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Motivations behind it? Was it being there for your kids? Was it wanting more money, or was it just to break out of the box completely, of the box that essentially you'd been put in?
Yeah. I think all three, to be honest, because, I always say to my clients that your income is equal to the people that you serve. When you're working as a teacher, it isn't, and it should be. But when you're working for yourself, it absolutely is. And you get to be more of an inspiration. You get to live the life that you want to live. I get to see my kids more often. I get to be off whenever they need me. I don't have to ask anybody for that time. I can just take that time and feel good about it, because I've got the recurring income still coming in, even though I take myself off for a week or two. Because that's how I set my business up, and I have a team working for me, which is the point where I really got that time freedom when I took on my team, which means anytime I'm off, they're there to kind of pick up anything that I need them to, or speak to my clients and deal with my clients. And my clients absolutely love them because they have their own area of expertise that's been really helping them move forward. So to answer that, it was, yes, absolutely more time with my kids, but the time when I wanted to take it. And 2, yes, income, because I wanted to be able to provide my kids with different ways of life. One of the things that my next goal is to actually move out of the UK if we can. I can't really do that if I'm teaching here. It's kind of, you're allowed to take those 6 weeks holiday, but then that gets so expensive, that the cost of holidays now. So, you rule that out. But I wanted to be able to take them on holiday whenever I wanted to, because I had the income and I could take them on holiday. Although I am kind of a little bit confined when they have to stay within their holiday days, but it's a little more give there than there is when you're a teacher,
Yeah.
So, and also definitely to get myself out of that confined box, 100%. I don't think I could go back to fitting in that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Should I say 9 to 3?
Yeah.
9 to 8, actually.
Yeah. So thinking about the time where you were made that investment in yourself and your business to take on that first bit of support, was that employee or was that subcontractor?
They're all contractors. I don't take on anyone on as an employee.
Yeah.
It just works a better way to do business when you are kind of, you know, I'm not huge right now. I'm still growing. So, you know, I've taken on my team for about a year and a half, 2 years now. And yeah, they're all contracted. So I have a tech support team. They now do, like I said to you, I taught myself how to run all the landing pages and connect them and run the Facebook ads. Don't do any of that anymore. I've passed that over. I have an accountability coach who sees my clients once a week, which gives me that freedom. So then I see them once a month. And that enables me to kind of run trainings, build up more resources, get more clients in, that type of thing. So I can keep my business kind of rolling on, and also have like graphics and Canva branding type person that will come on and do all of my logos, all of my design work, workbooks, all that kind of stuff as well, which is the things that take time in your business. And one thing is that I've noticed with a lot of clients is they spend too long doing that stuff and not enough time in the front end, you know. So, and it's difficult when you are working by yourself to be able to say to yourself, right, I need to be talking to people, not spending all that time in the back end.
Yeah.
Kind of really gave me that time to be able to do that, be more present, to be at the front, you know, of the business, which as a CEO, that's really where you should be anyway.
Yeah, I just want to kind of delve deeper into the mindset shift you had to take when you took on that first contractor.
Sure.
Because I can imagine there are people who are listening who may be at a level of income that they're comfortable, but they're still finding themselves doing all the stuff
yes,
you don't need to do.
yes.
And obviously, when you take on that contractor, there's going to be a drop in your income because you're having to pay this person. So how were you feeling when you took on that first person? How did you kind of work it through in your mind to go, okay, this is actually it'll be a less now, but in the long run, it's going to serve me. So talk me through that process that you
Sure.
put yourself through.
Yeah, sure. That's a really important point as well, because like I said, I did about 3 years without taking anyone on, without investing in people, because I thought, okay, I could do it all myself, save myself some money. But it just doesn't work, because you're then capping yourself at the amount that you can actually do, because you're one person, there's only 24 hours in the day, and you want there to be less, because the whole point is you want to be working less, right? So for me, it was a no-brainer, because I had been through that pain. I've been through the pain of trying to do it all myself, not moving my business forward. I could only take on a couple of clients in the time, 2 or 3 clients, to be able to, because not only do you have to think about taking the clients on, but working in the back end, but then also serving your clients, having the time to be able to, you know, give the clients everything that they need, and working on, you know, their project or working with them. So it kind of shifted my mindset, whereas, okay, if I hand this over, because I looked at how much time I'm spending in the back end, but that time is costing me money, you know, and the money that it's taken away from my business, if I put that onto someone else, and trust me, it does take a long time to find someone that you trust, but it's also releasing that control and knowing that you both are so aligned that you know exactly where you're coming from and what the business needs. And I've been very lucky to find people that are so aligned with me, I don't need to tell them much of what to go and do. So, you know, I switched my mindset quite quickly, like, this is a business. This is not a hobby. If this is a hobby, I'm going to stay where I was, I'm going to stay stuck, and I'm going to stay small. But I want to run this as a business. So I have to put my business hat on. And you think of any successful business, how many of them actually work on their own in isolation, without taking a team on, without taking, you know, outsourcing work that they should not be doing. You need to look at people that actually outsource their admin work. They take on a secretary. They do not work in isolation. If you are going to be a proper business, you need to realize you have to expand that. You have to take off your plate things that you should not be doing. And to be honest, maybe not even good at doing. Because if you're a coach or a therapist, what do you know about marketing? What do you know about, you know, setting up landing pages? What do you know about the social media part of it? You may not know any. And that's a lot of the clients that I've taken on have been of that mindset, that they don't know all these parts. They need that support. So we've been able to help them with that in the back end and with my team. And also The good thing about what we do is we can outsource to my team, so that can take it off their plate. So we work on the mindset of, let's set this up as a business and not a hobby. And those are the things that I always tell myself and my clients, like, how serious are you? Because if you're not serious about this, you've got to step off, save your money, do something else that you enjoy where you don't have to worry about all of that stuff. But if you want to run this as a business, a successful business, and realize that your income is parallel to how many people you serve actually, and that's serving you, then you need to take on more people, you need to take on staff. And I would recommend, even if it comes down to taking a VA, a virtual assistant, 1 hour a week in your business, just even set up your emails. Because setting up your emails and building your list is so, so important, because that becomes your asset. That becomes your business worth and your network, which, as you know, Leah, you do anyway. So that's one important key point that you may not be familiar with, being able to set up all the automation. An hour a week will get you a lot of work.
Oh, yeah, totally. I mean, I'm at the situation that I'm looking for some support right now, because of all the admin. Because I've been in business just over 2 years now, and doing the admin work, it takes me a day, a whole day to set up landing pages and forms and linking them all to all this, that, and the other, all the automation post landing page and making sure it all works. And it's an administrative nightmare for me.
It's a full-time job. I mean, let's be real. Doing that is a full-time job. That's why there are VAs that do it full-time, because it literally is a full-time job. So my tech team, that's what they do full-time. That's what they're good at. I let them do their expertise so I can do my expertise.
Yeah, totally. That's really what it's all about. I mean, how quickly after you got your first contractor did you get a second one?
Probably around the same time, because of the way I wanted to set up my business. Because at the time I had done my master's, I did it over COVID time.
I suppose?
Yeah, that's a funny other story, because I just literally started it before we went into COVID. So, 2019, I started it in the September, and then by the March, we were into working at home. So single mother, doing my master's. I'd also taken a full-time job on as accountability coach and teaching 3 kids at home full-time. So it was a nightmare. I think those are one of the points that set me up to say, how much can I actually do on my own? When I set up my own business doing this, I need to have this, and this in place. So when I came away from that, I already knew the structure that I wanted, having run my own business with the Facebook ads, having helped someone else in their business, seeing how things were set up, and I knew how I wanted to be. So what I would always recommend is think about your future. When you're setting up your business, what are the main goals that you want to achieve? If it's time freedom, then one of the main things is to set up your business in a way that you're getting that straight away, because it's going to be harder to go back to that and put things in place. When you have all of the control yourself and you're doing it all yourself, it's harder to let go. But when I set up this side of my business, the coaching side of my business, I took on people that I would need straight away, because I knew I am not going to have time for that. So I need to set this up straight away. I need to speak to people and connect with people that are going to help me do that. So I took my tech team on straight away. I used automations, which is a huge part of what I teach, automations and now AI, because I run my business mainly launches and challenges. So I wouldn't even have attempted that if I didn't have tech support, if I didn't use automations, and if I didn't have a coach that was actually going to be working for me pretty much full time in my business as well. So I had to look all of that, and all of that encompasses what the price point is as well for the program when people sign up, because they will see that they get so much support that it ends up being a no-brainer that they come in and get that support from them straight away. So, it would help me, it helps my clients, and my team is just absolutely amazing to be able to do that. So, I was just very lucky in the people that I chose, which is why I let my clients outsource to them, because they know everything. They know the parts of the business that you need to do that you yourself won't necessarily know.
That's amazing. And I think having that conviction in your mission, your vision and your purpose in your business, knowing, okay, this is what I'm good at. This is where I need to be. All this fluff over here, somebody else can do it. And having that conviction in everything is actually amazing. That's really, really, I've never kind of known anybody who's taken somebody on basically at the very beginning. So yeah, I love that so much. I love that. Like, that's amazing, really amazing.
It's paid off dividends because it literally made me feel no pressure. It took off the stress because I wasn't doing everything from the off. From the off, I told my team, this is what we're building, this is what we're doing. We had meetings to make sure that that was all coming about. And literally my emails, my automation, everything else gets set up by tech team. I don't need to do any of that. So I've literally been able to focus on bringing in new people, having fantastic conversations with prospects, bringing clients into the business, and it just works really well, and it's sustainable. So
Yeah.
you're doing things like that, and you're running launches, you're running challenges, you need to have that team that's going to be there to support you, because if you don't, you're literally then limiting how many people you can take on, because then you're going back to exchanging time for money, right? And that's what we want to try and get out of, that whole trap, because you go from one trap to being in another trap, and that's just not
that makes perfect sense. I mean, I don't run launches or anything like that, so there's not a lot of tech really involved in what I do, but the little bits I have done are time consuming. So I can't even imagine what it's like to run a launch with all of the automation behind that. I mean, the only experience I've had of that is going behind the scenes with Lisa Johnson.
So
because I'm an affiliate of hers, we have behind the scenes every time she launches to see how it all got set up. And she's got a fantastic team behind her, because I don't think she could do it on her own. It pays testament to businesses like yourself that are very tech heavy when it comes to getting things up and running, and knowing that's where you need to invest the money.
Yes, 100%. And then you're investing in a business, and you're being a business, because which business do you know that don't invest in themselves? You know, you take out loans, people go to the bank to be able to set up what they need. So why should, when we're working online, be any different? Because I think that's a huge mindset shift, that people come online as coaches, therapists, etc. They expect to be able to get loads of clients, be able to, earning lots of money without investing in the business first. You know, the reality is it doesn't. You know, we may not, we have, fantastic opportunity to run a business online where we don't need to pay for all the overheads, but we are still running a business. We still need the right tools. We still need the right people in the driving seat to help us run that business. And that's the biggest mindset that I try and work with my clients on, is you're going to need to invest, whether it's in tools, whether it's in a coach to guide you. All businesses need that. Bricks and mortar always had that. So why should we be any different?
Yeah. I mean, I heavily invested in my first year of business to understand everything that's involved with business. I invested in a sales coach. I invested in a marketing coach, a social media coach, and then a life coach, and then a business coach. So I had 6 different lots of support going on in my first, I would say, probably 18 months of business, just to kind of go, because I'd been in the corporate world. And so going from being in the corporate world where I just got a guaranteed wage, come here, do your job, leave, get paid. That was my life. So then going into the entrepreneurial world, and then the online entrepreneurial world that doesn't switch off. Online does not switch off. So
no, that's the thing. That's the other thing you have to get used to, is that it doesn't switch off.
So it's taken me a long time to get to where I am now, to be able to live the life I want while running the business that works. And it works around me and my life. So I completely get it. The investment is so important. Important. It's like, there are a lot of people that are a bit worried about investment, I think, because they generally, because when you invest properly, you're looking thousands of pounds. And for people depending on where they are in the entrepreneurial, depending on what money story they've got, a couple of £1,000 is like, oh, or it could be, oh yeah, here you go, depending on what money story they've got behind them and how they react to that level of money.
Absolutely. And it's also, but if you put that into perspective, because if you were running a business offline in the real world, it would be so much more than that.
Oh yeah.
To be able to start your business off. That's absolutely nothing. It's like a drop in the ocean. And that's lucky that we're able to start a business off on just a few thousand, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
but you have to be real.
Yeah, it is about being realistic in what you need to support you on your journey if you are 100% committed to making it work.
Yes, 100%.
Brilliant. So if you could go back, look at your story from when you were a teacher to now, what would you say were the biggest breakthroughs that you had along that whole journey that somebody that might be listening today could go, oh, and really relate to that situation? And what did you do to overcome those bumps in the road?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there was a few, but I think the main one was when I kind of realized, okay, I do want to run a business. And I don't want this to be a hobby, because I think with the 3 years, I was just going around the circles, like just literally spinning the wheel, and I wasn't moving. And that just brought me down even more. Yes, I know I have to invest some money in it. I have to find the money to invest in it. But then when I did find it and I realized, okay, this could exponentially grow my business in a shorter period of time, which means that I would get more income in my business than I had done over the 3 years. And that's the big, big mindset shift that it did take me a long time to realize. And that's when I speak to clients or I speak to people that come through the challenges about that, and to help them realize and help them to save the time. You don't have to spin your wheels for 3 years to realize you need to take on the support. And there is some support now where the tools that you use can be as helpful as having a coach. So, you know, depending, like you said, if you invest properly and you invest sensibly in what it is you're doing, you do your due diligence, you know, you're working with somebody who knows what they're doing, then it could make a huge difference in your business. And that, I think that was one of the parts that really made me change how I see my own business. And then on top of that is the part that I always check myself about. It's like, how much is something worth to me now? How much is £100 worth to me now compared to £1,000? Because that just means I'm going to hold it on more the tighter. So the £100, I was just holding on to that so tightly. But you've got to let your money grow, because money doesn't mean anything unless you put it out there to grow. And that's when I started to release my hold over the money that I had and let that go and let that grow for me. If that meant investing in coaches and tools in teams, that was my money growing, and that would come back to me tenfold. And that was another huge mindset shift that I had as well.
Awesome. Awesome. So if you could round up your whole entire journey so far into a sentence or a paragraph.
Yeah.
Depending on what you want it to be, what would that be to support others who are at any part of your journey, where you are now, where you've been in the middle of it, where you're like, oh, I really need to make this investment, but I'm not quite sure. How would you sum it all up?
Good question. So for me, I would probably say, I think to get to where I am right now, I think you have to realize that you need to take, I think you have to decide yourself, like we mentioned about it being a hobby, you know, or being a real business. I think that's the thing that you've got to ask yourself, because if you want it to be a hobby, then you'll stay where you are and you won't be visible. I think one of the main points and things for me as well is to be more visible, going into other people's groups, connecting with other people like yourself, growing my network, growing my support, having more conversations with people. Because that's the other thing, is that people don't grow their businesses just sitting in the back end and just watching the day go by and watching Facebook go by and scrolling in your newsfeed. You actually have to have daily conversations. You want to move your business forward, and you need to think to yourself, okay, I don't want to be a hobby. I want to invest. I want it to be a real business. I need to step up. I need to put myself out there, because if I don't put myself out there, then the people that need my help are not going to see me.
Yeah.
And that comes back to, you know, if you're going to play it small, or you want your income to parallel the people that you're serving.
Yeah, my coach says to me, stop being stingy with your talents.
Yes.
Stop being stingy with it. Show it to people and let people see you, hear you for what you actually are.
Exactly.
And that's exactly what you've just said. Is like, just stop being stingy.
Yeah.
Stop hiding and being stingy with what you've got to offer the world.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. Share yourself around a bit, and you can do that on social media, can't you? Quite easily. You can be in front of thousands of people, you know, showing up and enjoying what you do. And I think one of the huge mindsets and money mindsets is that I come across is coaches, therapists, entrepreneurs don't feel like they're enough.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was there.
Believe themselves. Yeah.
I was there. It's taken 12 months of inner work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all based on my own money story that I had to let go of.
Yeah.
Detach myself from the story that had been given to me by other people. And I create my own story now.
Yes. Love that.
And that's essentially what I do in my business. I help people to let go and create their own story.
Yes, absolutely.
Create your own money story, and you can let it be whatever the hell you want it to be. Because the world is your oyster. You can create anything that you want.
Yeah, 100%. Yes.
You are proof of that. Everybody that I speak to is proof that you can create anything that you want if you've got the conviction in yourself.
You've got to believe in yourself 100%. And it always comes down to the inner beliefs things that you say to yourself, because we're not kind to ourselves. We say all the negative things, and that's what resonates in your mind. But self-talk is the most powerful talk. So you need to change that, because your mind will always go to the familiar, which is the negative stuff. So you change those words around. So you can start that today. Look at the negative words that you're saying to yourself and switch that. No, I'm not going to do that anymore. This is the word I'm going to use instead. And my mind is now going to become familiar to it. And that's going to be the go-to. And that's what I'm going to think about.
Repetition changes those neural pathways.
Yes.
It's uncomfortable at first because we're outside our comfort zone.
Yes.
But the more you do it, the more you get comfortable with it, the more it becomes your new comfort zone.
Exactly.
And once you start to believe it, the world starts to believe it and then gives you what you want on a plate.
Exactly. 100%. Yes. 100%. Well, it can do. It literally can do when you believe in the abundance of it, when you believe in yourself, when you believe that you've got something to offer. It can do, because you start bringing in the right types of people to connect with. You start having those business opportunities that you never would have before. Because I realized, one of the other things I realized is, because of my negative mindset, I've literally closed myself off.
Yeah.
So if you're in that closed off mindset, because your mind will go back to the protection is to go to the familiar. And you go back there each time, you're not opening your mindset. So slowly, by changing those words, by flipping the script, you don't realize, but you are actually opening up your mind to more abundance. And you're opening up your mind to have more of the positive, influential things come through to your mind, and influential people, and also opportunities come to you, as well as clients.
Yeah. I mean, it's essentially, they've always been there.
Yeah.
You just can't see them.
No, because you're just totally blocked off to it. And one of the things I say when I speak to my clients that have these kind of issues is, what is your evidence? Because they'll say to me, well, Sneha, people won't pay me that much. How can they pay me? Well, what's your evidence? Somebody said to you, I'm not going to do that. It's not worth it.
Yeah, that's exactly the same work that I do with my clients. We use, have you heard of Byron Katie?
Oh, no.
So she wrote a book called Loving What Is.
Mm-hmm.
She's a transformational coach.
Mm-hmm.
So what I say to my clients is, when they come to me with a thought that they've had, I'm like, okay, so is it true?
Mm-hmm.
Do you absolutely know that it's true? And who would you be if you let go of that thought?
Yeah.
So who would you prefer to be?
Mm-hmm.
Somebody with the thought, without the thought? Choice is yours. You have a choice. You have a choice to think the way that you want to think. If you choose to think negatively, that's your choice. I'm not saying it's wrong, I'm not saying it's right, but that's your choice. But you can also choose to think positively. Whether that's good or bad, I'm not one to say, but it's your choice.
Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah, love that. It's totally true. And I think the thing is, people don't necessarily believe that, which is why they don't end up doing it. But you just tried it to see what's the worst that could happen. You won't die.
No, exactly. Awesome. So have you got any closing thoughts before we finish off the podcast today that you'd like to share with the audience?
In terms of closing thoughts, I think you have to realize that you are in control of where you want to be in your life. You have control of how your business goes, types of clients that you take on. You have to be the one that's open-minded enough to bring the right types of people into your ecosystem, and you need to decide how to do that. And one thing I would recommend, whoever you are aligned to and whoever you're watching, because we all watch people, we always see them and we always think, oh goodness, I wish I was there, I wish I was doing that. Approach these people, find out what it is that they're doing, and maybe think about investing in yourself to be able to get yourself to the same point. Because you always want to look at somebody that's already there, see what it is they're doing, connect with what they're doing, and then bring yourself up to that point for you, because you can absolutely do it, but you have to decide to make that change.
I love it. Lovely closing thought. Anyway, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
For chat to me today, and I can't wait for to release the episode.
Yes, it'll be amazing. Thank you so much for the opportunity. It's been wonderful, and thank you guys for listening.
Thank you.